everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today's the 2nd of September, 2016. For all of my friends here in the United States, we hope you enjoy your holiday weekend. We have a few things that are to talk about, some kit announcements, and then some teaser shots from a few things that have been posted this week. And there were, I want to say, 3 kit releases this week, so shorter video than last week. I promise I won't throw a 15-20 minute rant on the end of this one. Maybe. Let's see. What do I want to do here? Kit announcements. Aoshima has announced their October reissues. And they are the A86 Sprinter Truno GT Apex. That is a reissue of the kit that just came out, the reboxed model car series boxing. The Road Jam 2012 Crown Athlete and the Hilux Double Cab Lift Up, which is the sort of monster truck version of the regular double cab truck. Those two are reissues of the rebox of the Toon model car series. And then beyond that, we have the reissue of the S30 Fairlady Z. This is the one with the sort of the over fenders, the kit that was modified out of its 1980s origins in 2012 and turned into this kit. It still is the best car vintage kit in the sense it's motorized chassis and very basic and all those things, but it continues to just be a kit that sells to them, obviously, because they seem to reissue it every 3 months or so. Reissue of the Nissan Gloria 4-door 280e hardtop Brougham. Reissue of the Toyota Celica 1600 GT, which we've talked about before. Even though the Hasegawa one is a curbside, it's a better kit. It's not as simplified. However, they're also reissuing their Celica 2000 GT liftback, which if you want the liftback, the hatchback version, the only way to get one is through Aoshima. Another kit that gets reissued from time to time, and I really wish they would put this one out to pasture. You know, we just did a whole thing, of course, last Friday about the hobby dying and people being unnecessarily negative about things. And I'm usually try to at least look on the bright side of some things, even if I wouldn't personally purchase the kit. However, this one just needs to die, and that is the Volkswagen Beetle 1303S Cabrio. This also goes with the 1303S Super Beetle and other I think there's 2 or 3 kits that were all done. These are old IMEI tools. They are, in addition to being wildly motorized in the sense that there's actually a battery compartment that makes up the bottom of the chassis plate, and the fact that the interior is about this deep. It's like, you know, this kit was made, if this kit was scaled out in real life, the people driving it would be like 2'4". It's just a junk kit. It really is. However, it's the only version of the Beetle 1303S that's in existence. So it's one of those deals where I maybe if you melded it with something else, because the other thing, options are the Tamiya one or the Revell of Germany one as far as full detail goes, and those are both too old of a, you know, kit in terms of, you know, real car years to actually serve as a real chassis for the it's a mess, and I really wish they would kill those IMEI kits off. But they obviously again continue to sell. I just wonder how many people they sell them to that open it up and go ah, because that's pretty much what my reaction of having one of those used to be, and I ended up giving it away to somebody because it was just lingering around here. And I bought it as a kid. My parents had a Beetle when they were obviously before I was around, and I wanted to build them a model kit of their car, and that was the Beetle I could find back in my hobby shop back in the 1990s. Why the Tamiya one wasn't there, I couldn't tell you. Of course, the Revell Germany one just existed. And, of course, the Revell Germany one, even though it's been, you know, reboxed for the United States, is still a German-spec 1968 Beetle. So there's all that. Also on the reissue list here, the RS Mach Honda Beat. You may recall the Honda Beat was reissued for the first time in its completely factory stock variation a few months ago. This is the tuner version, and it's the one I have because it's a pretty cool car. Reissue of the C West Nissan Skyline R34 GTR, and reissue of the Car Boutique Club A86 Truno. This is a tunerized version, if you will, of the A86 Truno, where the GT Apex is a completely factory stock version. The Car Boutique one, I'm pretty sure, comes with the T37 gravel wheels. The other kit announcement of sorts was the fact that Asuka is going to be reissuing their Zundap or Zundap 750 PS DS. have it written down, and I just blanked out on the names. KS750. Haha, there we go. So Zundap was a German motorcycle manufacturer. Actually, they were German demolitions manufacturer, but after World War I, there wasn't much need to explode things for 20 or 30 years. So they made motorcycles and scooters and a micro car at one point in time. And, of course, the company, went in other directions after World War II and eventually got sold to China, which is, sort of a story of everyone, isn't it? But the 750 was a purpose-built motorcycle that they made for the German troops, as it were. There are two versions of this kit, as far as I know. There's this one that they're reissuing, and then there's one with a sidecar. They also, Asuka, which is the old Tascam, also made the Bantam version of the Jeep, the one that was made by Bantam Corporation that was here in was here in Western Pennsylvania, up by Beaver. That, of course, won the contract to build it and then didn't have enough, capacity to build it, and that's why Ford ended up with it, and off into history it went. Don't feel too bad for them. They made pretty much every one of those trailers you ever saw towed behind a Jeep because they got that contract as well. So this motorcycle is being reissued sort of as a civilianized version of it because they're chroming some parts. Asuka, being a military company, did not chrome the parts originally because, in the sense of being a World War II Wehrmacht vehicle, you wouldn't want to have it be real flashy. So this is going to come out at the end of September. I think they're also going to reissue the one with the sidecar as well. But this has some peculiar issues with it, and I'm going to show you this flyer here. It gives you an idea what it looks like. It's a very, pre-World War II design. There was a KS600 that was sort of their popular civilian motorcycle, and then they end up making the KS601 after World War II, which is probably the way most people have ever heard of a Zundap motorcycle. And this kit is, like I said, getting chromed parts. You can see there's two trees. I know it's kind of small. The engine pieces, and then they're chroming the wheels. This is, the rims, and it's all big. Oh yay! Chrome rims and chrome engine pieces and handlebars and stuff, and that's all pretty cool in the sense of making it less military and not having to, what am I thinking of? All-clad or whatever the stuff. But if you notice, and I know it's hard to make out here, but on the far right of the screen where the parts runners are, on the top there, you see there's like 4 little circles, and then 12 little pieces of material down below it. Now, being a military vehicle and the way most military vehicles are made, the plastic tires are plastic. They're not vinyl, rubber, whatever you want to call replacements, and they did not tool up new wheels and tires for this kit. The way these wheels go together is that there are two, the actual, the wheels parts are molded in with the sidewall, and those two pieces, mold together, and then there are a series of 6 or so little chunks of tread, little sections of tread, and you glue them around, in the middle of that sandwich. Basically, you're making a motorcycle Oreo, for lack of a better term, and you glue all those little links in, sort of like making treads on a tank to a certain extent. And that's what makes the wheel. Now, the problem with that is that in order to chrome the spokes of the wheel, they've also chromed that entire parts runner. So that means not only is the spokes wheel part chrome, but so is the sidewall of the tire, and so are all those little chunks of tread. So you are, in fact, going to have to dechrome the whole shebang in order to build it, because, there's really, unless the Japanese have a secret way of painting chrome that I'm not aware of, painting the actual kit chrome is not really a thing. It'll never look right. It'll always look like anodized aluminum at best, and if you do manage to cover up the fact that it's chrome, you've used so much paint and to do so that now the paint is wildly out of scale. So I appreciate the thought. However, I think in this case, just chroming the engine parts and the handlebars and all that stuff would have been the better way to go about it. Chroming the wheels to make the spokes chrome was a nice thought. Maybe just taking the things and dunking them in the chrome tank, on the wheel end, so just the wheel and the sidewall were chrome. You might be able to work around that, but the whole treads and everything, okay, that's just weird, Japan. Thank you. But again, it's a 1/24 scale motorcycle, and it's certainly a very unique piece of history. And the number of people who will have a 1/24 scale Zundap in their collection, is probably few and far between. And if you're building a period, diorama or something, not so much, a war diorama, which of course, there's that. There's a bunch of 1/24 scale planes by Trumpeter, so if you wanted to get like a Messerschmitt and put the motorcycle next to it, that would look pretty cool. But I'm thinking more on the lines of like, it's a like 1950s, 1960s garage, and this guy came back from the war, and he's got like the Bantam Jeep, and he's got this motorcycle and a couple of hot rods. He took a few things from Germany and shipped them back to the United States. What are you saying there? That would be cool. Otherwise, I'm not sure that the price of admission of dechroming everything and then painting the wheels, back to chrome, and then trying to find a suitable finish for the tires and all that stuff is really worth your time. But it's all up to you. Teaser shot from Heller yesterday is this, and you're looking at that going, all right, well, it's a parts runner and some tires. Yeah. So this is finally the first breaking shots of anything other than box art. Excuse me for our drink. Of anything other than the box art for the Massey Ferguson, or I guess it's just a Ferguson of this thing, of the little gray tractor. A lot of people had written off Heller for dead when they went into their little receivership dance at the beginning of beginning of this year. It was right after Nuremberg, actually. And the Massey's dead, and the Estafette's probably never coming because they just never got that far, so they're just going to scrap the idea altogether. And Heller was allegedly bought by a company that makes plastic lunch utensils or something like that. They went through some sort of organization. I don't know what's going on, but Jostra seems to still be in charge of them. And they reissued all of the kits they were supposed to reissue, like the Vista Stella and the Delage and the Talbot Lago Grand Prix car, as well as the multi decal version of the 2CV, the Citroen 2CV that builds into a couple of different French-specific variations of that car. However, the only way you can get those is to go through Heller's actual website, to go through heller.fr, put it into the English version if it doesn't do it automatically for you, and then buy the things from Heller. When they'll be distributed worldwide, I couldn't tell you. Those kits never seem to come up on eBay. There's no French retailer that wants to sell to the United States. That's racist, or at least elitist, or somethingist. But you just, very rarely have you ever seen anything pop up here. My local hobby distributor got some of the Jaguar XKs that came in, but they were distributed by Stevens, and then Stevens stopped distributing them because apparently Heller's distribution company is like impossible to work with. If they want to survive long term, instead of lurching from disaster to disaster, they've got to figure out a way to distribute these kits to people who actually want them. Because I would take a Vivastella and a Delage. I just don't know when I'm going to be able to get one, because the shipping from France is something beyond ridiculous as far as what it costs. If you think Hong Kong shipping is expensive, go take a look at that French shipping. I certainly want the little gray tractor, and I want one of the Estafette vans as well. 1999 is the only place that I've seen any of that stuff even listed, and they're all saying like November, maybe December of this year, which is months and months after the kits have been released in France. So really need to work on that distribution there, Mr. Heller. Let's see. I'm trying to think. What else? Oh, we've got some test shots, or not test shots, but some photos of the assembled test shots of the Aoshima Pagani. Whoops, that's not a Pagani. That's a Prius. There we go. So you could clearly see here, and we speculated about the way that whether or not the front end would also hinge, because obviously the gull wing doors were going to hinge, and the rear end was going to hinge. But yes, the front end hinges as well, because let's show off the entire innards of this car. The kvetching has already started. That this will never fit together the way, and obviously it's being taped here because it's a test shot, and obviously the parts, they've already said, many parts need realignments and things like that. But you're actually getting to see what all those parts runners look like put together, And I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, okay, I'm worried about the fit as much as anybody else is, but just bashing it just for the sense of saying, well, it's never going to fit together. What are we going to do? Aoshima sucks. Well, the FXXK and the FXX and the LaFerrari and the Enzo all have the same issue with getting the doors to fit properly. If you want to function them, open and close, rather than gluing them one way or the other. And their trunks don't fit. The engine covers usually don't fit either. They usually involve some tweaking. So when you do that kind of stuff, advanced modeling skills apply. Things like test fitting and, I don't know, bending things under hot water and those type of things. I'm concerned, of course, because of if you have a whole bunch of that stuff, whether or not it'll fit. Although on the other hand, if you have all this stuff and you want to show it off, how much are you going to pose it close? I'm almost tempted to maybe close one of the doors and leave everything else open, because if you're going to display this, especially if you build it not for contest but contest style, where you're detailing it and want to show it off, wouldn't you isn't this a model that you would go spend the $8 for a display case, to keep the dust out, and just leave everything open so that you can see it all? It's 160 plus pieces, and that's without the photo etch set and all the rest of the stuff that comes with. That'll come with, because again, sold separately. You don't you want to show it off? Don't you want people to see it? Why would you close it up? I know that most people are like, I don't care if the hood opens, because I don't display my cars with the hood open and stuff like that. But if you do go do contesting, you take the hoods off, or you open the hoods there, and I don't know, if it doesn't all fit in a way that you can open and close it easily and have the panels aligned, I am not totally against leaving it all wide open to display everything, because why not? There's a lot of detail there, and you might as well show it off. There's also an issue with the Aoshima Hurricane. Some people have gotten it here in the United States and have pointed out that the front fender flare transition to the door is not as the 1.1 appears to be. The 1.1 has a very smooth transition. I should have got some pictures, but I don't. This is such a non-issue to me at this point. I'm just telling you about it so you know, but to me, I don't care. The real one is a very smooth transition. The kit has the fender flare is too big, I'm going to say, and that gives it a look that there's almost like a wedge chopped out with a hatchet. And the transition isn't very smooth. However, I've now seen a couple of them built by very, very speedy builders over in Asia. And when you look at the way the kit is and the way the 1.1 pictures are, I gotta tell you, it's one of those things where there's so much else going on with that car that your eye isn't drawn to that area, and it doesn't look bad to me. It's the Mobius 56 Chrysler has the same thing, where it has a bump in the roof that shouldn't be there. However, and to me, it's very prominent in the raw plastic. However, I've seen a bunch of them built, and unless you're looking for it, because of course it's still there, unless you're looking for it, you don't notice it on built models. Between the all the chrome and everything else that's going on and the assembled model, and there's so much to look at, your eye isn't drawn to that error. Is there a problem with the Hurricane body proportions? I would say yes. It's a minor one. It's not a major one. The roof isn't 2 inches too low. The front end and back end aren't completely wrong. It isn't Revell. The problem still technically exists. I just think that, except for, I would need to compare the built models to more real cars, because the one that's being thrown up there is the example of why this is wrong, and then the pictures of the kit that are being taken to compare it to are taken at very, very different camera angles, and I don't know that it's a legitimate severe criticism. There's people going on and on about how Aoshima's not, never going to beat Tamiya, and this is just junk, and some people who had a rough week, I guess. I don't know what their beef with Aoshima is all of a sudden, but they tore Aoshima down one side, burnt them up the other, and left them for dead in the middle of the highway over something that, yes, is theoretically wrong, but it just isn't that big of a deal. There comes a point where you want the kit to be as realistic as possible, and I think, again, more camera angles are needed, at least for me, to be very concerned about it, because on most camera angles, I don't see the problem existing on the built model. I just don't want to, of course, be accused of being a homer for the Japanese either. Oh, you have Aoshima, you do it. No, I'll tell you right now, there seems to be a problem with the Hurricane. will it affect your enjoyment of it? I guess that depends on whether or not you see it or not. I didn't even see it for the first 3 or 4 days as people were complaining about it, and then finally, oh, here's this picture and here's this picture, and see, okay, I see, but it's not the same camera angle, so do I see? Well, I don't know. So there were some kit releases this week, and let's go through those real quick. On the domestic side of things, we talked about it in the September roundup. This kit, which was supposed to come out in August, and it sort of slid into September, and then it has a September release date, and then I think it actually came out before the end of August. This is the 1/16th scale AMT Chevrolet 55 Nomad, or the 55 Chevrolet Nomad, depending on how you want to, organize your thoughts there. It's got expanded decals, and obviously it's got some vintage box art. Be aware of what you're buying if you go try to find this on eBay, because there are a whole slew of people right now trying to liquidate their 1996 reissue of this kit, which has effectively the exact same box art. Those kits are selling for somewhere between $80 and $100 because apparently those people don't realize this came out yet. And, so this is a $40 model kit is what the price of it seems to be. Maybe cheaper or more expensive at your retailer, but $40 is the general ballpark number on it. So if you see stuff popping up for $80, $100, yeah, those are people trying to salvage their kit value. Fail. On the Japanese side of things, 2 Fujimi reissues for the end of August. This, the Nissan Gloria Cedric 430 Turbo. All I can say about this box art is Fujimi apparently felt the need to aspire to round 2, because that nostalgia dough in this box art. This is the box art from like the mid to late 1980s, which will tell you pretty much everything you need to know about the contents of this kit as well. Motorized. The instructions tell you to build it with a roll cage and all sorts of stuff. The only wheels you get are these sort of silver dollar starfish wheels. But rest assured, the actual kit, the body that's inside this box, does not have this garish, cartoonish proportions. I'm not even sure that you can build it with the weird camber that the rear axle is showing. I've always loved the fact that this car has that backwards turbo decal for the front bumper. I guess that's so people who are, in front of you know that we could really get moving if we got all 4 cylinders and the turbo kicked on at one point in time. It's not a terrible, terrible kit, and it's the only turbo version of the 430. It's just not a great kit, and this box art really makes it look awful. And then this, Patrick Matai's favorite reissue for the month of August, because technically this is a reissue. The Prius kit already existed. Is this police version? This is a real car. It really does exist. Fujimi showed pictures of it on their corporate blog. It belongs to the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. The one thing about this kit, and if anybody's built any of the Aoshima police cars, those tend to be pre-painted black and white, and then you get a little sticker for the hood, for that widow's peak on the hood. Yeah, this isn't pre-painted, and you don't get jack for decals. I mean, you get the wording and the logos and the license plates and stuff like that, and this does seem to build only one car. It doesn't even seem to have spare numbers for the license plate. I'd have to go recheck to be totally positive on that, but this seems to build a very specific one-off car, and you have to tape off that two-tone, which isn't too much of a problem because the bumper sort of splits basically where the bumper two-tone is, but that widow's peak on the hood, yeah, you're on your own there. There's no decal for that. There's no masking guide for it. Pretty much the only police part that really belongs to this kit is the roof lights. You do get like 3 or 4 runners of police parts, because apparently in order to make this roof light, they had to just run the whole tooling for all their police parts. So you get some couple of Kojak lights and some really old police radios and a really old bullhorn. And if you ever saw the Fujimi police parts boxing, it's a little box, looks like Aoshima wheels or Fujimi wheels when they just show you the wheels and tires. There's a couple of little boxes like that they're police parts. I think there's Police Parts 1 and Police Parts 2. One's sort of vintage, one's sort of modern. I think you get all of those parts, or at least it looks like you get most of those parts because, again, they're all run in the same tooling setup. So in order to get that little V-shaped the high riser bar, they had to give you everything. So you get a whole bunch of extra spare parts for it, but you don't actually get any radios or anything for the car itself. So, I don't know. I guess they call the cops on the cell phone and be like, hey, yo, roll that Prius down here and block traffic because there's no police radios or anything else in the car. It's just the light bar. So, anyway, it's sort of an interesting thing. I remember when that kit came out in 2012, the original one, because there's like 3 variations of that car. Or maybe 4 now with this. I think there's an anime, Itasca garish one as well. But they made a regular, just run-of-the-mill Prius. Try to see if it's somewhere I can reach it without destroying everything. Where's my Prius at? I have a Prius. It's not there. It's not there. It must be up in the shelf here somewhere. But they made a regular, just like Prius, la-di-da Prius. Who cares? And then they made one with a solar paneled roof. And that solar panel roof version, like, they tooled it so the roof is separate. So if you happen to get this Toyota, this kit for some reason, the roof panel's separate. That's why. Really, seriously, I have a Prius. I don't know where it went. This is a sign that you need to build some models because you've lost models in your collection. I didn't lose it. It's just I have 3 big shelves of Toyota stuff, and I'll be darned if I see it in there anywhere. Here's a thrilling video, folks. A man searching for a Prius in a stack of Toyota kits. I really honestly don't see it. I don't have any idea where it went. Oh, I see it. There, it's over there. It's not easy to get to, so that was all for nothing. But yeah, when that kit came out in the America people figured that out. Well, the drama and the whining and the crying that went on with that. That was a waste of tooling. It was a waste of plastic. Why would anyone tool such a stupid thing? Then the solutions of, we'll just stuff a Hemi in it or a blown Chevy in it and make a drag car out of it. Yeah, seriously. So Fujimi is not selling it to you in the first place. They are a Japanese company whose main market is Japan. And in Japan, apparently there were enough people to buy it, or maybe Toyota funded it as a promo or whatever, to make the model kit. And they made 4 versions of it, and obviously it continued to sell well enough that they made a police version of it. I promise not to rant, but I'm going to go into a tiny little one. I don't understand what the point of complaining about stuff that you're not going to buy is. Please, someone enlighten me as to the point of that. You see it all the time on Facebook, all the time on forums. Whenever a new kit is announced, or you get the flyer, the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter flyer from Revell or whatever, and people will specifically say, well, there's nothing there that I want, or I'm not buying any of that stuff, or pass, or what. Who cares what you're going to buy? Nobody does. I mean, Revell, all them may do in the end, you hit them in the pocket kind of thing. But, look, I've been doing this show, this goofiness for 2 years and 2 months now. And in those 700 and some odd days, no one has ever, I should be 700 and some odd days, no one has ever stopped me in the street, stopped me at a hobby show, stopped me in Facebook, email, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Google+, anywhere, and never asked me, hey, so, them new kits that are coming out, what you buying? What do you like about that Revell release sheet? Nobody asked me what I'm going to buy, and I'm the guy talking about stuff you should buy. Why do I care what you're going to buy? I don't. Buy stuff, put it in the what did you get today thread or show it on Facebook or make your own YouTube channel, whatever your solution to the problem is. But, I don't build drag car kits, but you don't see me shitting on every drag car kit that comes along, pardon my French. Anyway, rant over. I promised not to, but I couldn't help myself. This is what happens when you go out of town twice in 1 week and you can't make any other videos. So, anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it. For everybody here in the United States, enjoy your 3-day weekend. It is Labor Day. I think I might try to paint some stuff today because it looks like it's a pretty nice day outside and it's not too humid. So, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.